diplomatic efforts to find a negotiated solution. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the European Union for the statement, and I give the floor to the representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Thank you. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, Mr. President, at the outset, I wish to state clearly Iran's position regarding the convening of this meeting. We associate ourselves with the position of the Russian and Chinese colleagues and firmly object to the convening of this meeting. Security Council Resolution 2231 contains a clear, deliberate, and self-executing termination clause. This resolution expired on 18 October 2025. As of that date, it ceased to have any legal effect or operative mandate. Accordingly, the Security Council rules under the Resolution 2231 came to a definitive end. There is therefore no mandate for the Secretary General to submit any report, no mandate for the Council to hold discussions on it, and no legal basis whatsoever to convene a meeting under the agenda item non-proliferation in this context. Any attempt to convene such a meeting constitute a clear violation and abuse of the Council's procedure. Likewise, any claim of the continued operation or implementation of Resolution 2231, whether by invoking Note 44 of the President of the Council or by vague reference to so-called established practice, is legally unfounded and misleading, and amounts to a clear abuse of this Council authority and process. Mr. President, I wish to express Iran's appreciation to China and the Russian Federation for their principled position and their faithful commitment to the JCPOA throughout its implementation. We also thank Algeria, Pakistan, and other Council members who have taken principled and independent positions. What we are witnessing is not a legitimate disagreement over interpretation, but a calculated distortion of Resolution 2231. The deliberate dissemination of disinformation regarding Iran's peaceful nuclear program, and a cynical attempt to abuse this Council for their narrow political interest. Against this backdrop, I wish to make 4 points. First, the root cause of the current situation are clear and did not emerge overnight or in isolation. They lie in the unilateral withdrawal of the United States from the JCPOA in 2018, the sustained and deliberate non-compliance of the 3 European countries with their commitments, and the subsequent military aggression by the United States and the Israeli regime against Iran's peaceful safeguard nuclear facilities. The war of the aggression launched by the United States and Israel, including deliberate attacks on facilities under IAEA safeguard, constitute a blatant violation of Article 2 of the UN Charter and the peremptory norm prohibiting the use of force, and represents a direct assault on the international non-proliferation regime. The situation is further aggravated by the explicit and public admission of the President of the United States, a permanent member of the Security Council and the depositary of the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, what Washington led, directed, and coordinated this war of aggression. Any attempts to justify this unlawful act through a distorted interpretation of Article 51 of the Charter or by invoking a fabricated claim of imminent threat is legally unfounded, misleading, and constitute one of the most dangerous abuses of international law in recent history. Article 51 of the Charter permits self-defense only in response to an actual armed attack, not speculative or hypothetical threats. Equally disturbing is the silence, and in certain instances, the implicit endorsement of the 3 European countries in response to this act of aggression. They have no credibility whatsoever to invoke non-proliferation norms or to claim concerns for the integrity of the non-proliferation regime. Second, Iran has been a faithful and responsible party to the NPT since 1970. Iran has consistently rejected weapons of mass destruction on legal, moral, and doctrinal regard, a position reaffirmed constantly at the highest level. Despite unlawful sanction, sabotage, assassination of its nuclear scientists, and armed attack, Iran has never diverted its nuclear program to military purposes. Iran's program remains exclusively peaceful and subject to the most extensive verification regime applied to any non-nuclear weapon state. Yet the role has been deliberately reversed. The victim is treated as the perpetrator. Iran is punished, and those who attack IA safeguard nuclear facilities enjoy complete impunity. This blatant double standard gravely undermines the integrity, credibility, and authority of the global non-proliferation regime. Despite these circumstances and grave violations, Iran acts in good faith and continues to cooperate with IAEA. On 9 September in Cairo, Iran's foreign minister signed a memorandum of understanding with the IAEA Director General, an initiative welcomed by the agency and many states as a constructive first step. Additional proposals were later presented here in New York by Iran's foreign minister. All were ignored. France and the United Kingdom chose escalation over diplomacy, acting in alignment with Washington instructions while blocking genuine diplomatic affairs, including the responsible initiative put forward by China and Russia. Furthermore, they acted in a bad faith by ignoring Iran's constructive cooperation with IAEA, deliberately omitting key facts, and tabling another politically motivated resolution at the IAEA Board of Governors in November 2025, while pressuring members to support it. This was done to manufacture a crisis rather than resolve one, and it effectively ended both diplomacy and the Cairo Agreement. Third, regarding claims that the so-called snapback or reinstatement of termination sanctions resolution has been triggered, Iran's position is clear, consistent, and firmly on the record, including in its official communication to the Secretary General and the President of the Council. This position has also been explicitly shared by other members, including China and Russia. The E3 have been in sustained and publicly acknowledged significant non-performance since 2018, and therefore lack any legal standing to invoke such a mechanism. Moreover, the Security Council procedural inaction in September neither validate nor remedies this fundamental defect. The Council made no determination that legal conditions for the so-called snapback were met. Under international law, defective or invalid procedures cannot create legal rights or obligations. Let me state once again Iran's position in clearest possible terms. Resolution 2231 terminated definitively on 18 October 2025. As of that date, all nuclear-related provisions, measures, and restrictions were permanently terminated. The Security Council concluded its consideration of the Iranian nuclear issue, and the agenda item non-proliferation was removed. Any attempt by any state or body to revive, reinterpret, or enforce these terminated provisions is null and void, without legal effect, and constitute a clear abuse of this Council authority and processes. Fourth, Iran remains fully committed to principled diplomacy and genuine negotiations. It will never submit to coercion, intimidation, or political pressure. It is now incumbent upon France, the United Kingdom, and the United States to reverse course and take concrete, credible steps to restore trust and confidence. The core principles of the JCPOA remain indisputable and valid. verifiable assurance that Iran's nuclear program is exclusively peaceful in exchange for full recognition of Iran's right under the NPT, including the right to uranium enrichment, the lifting of all sanctions, and the normalization of Iran's economy and integration into the international trading system. These principles remain entirely applicable and can provide a solid foundation for a new agreement. The essential objective is unchanged. Iran's nuclear program must remain exclusively peaceful, and Iran stands ready to provide such assurances. If France and the United Kingdom are sincere in their declared commitment to diplomacy, they should press the United States to follow this path. If they instead continue to adopt Washington's failed zero enrichment policy and deny Iran in unalienable right under the NPT, diplomacy will be effectively destroyed. The selective invocation of the UN Charter and the pursuit of the so-called peace through strength approach only undermine the rule of law, replacing it with the law of the jungle. In closing, Mr. President, I wish to thank the outgoing members of the Council, Algeria, Guyana, and Republic of Korea, Sierra Leone, and Slovenia, and congratulate them on the successful completion of their two-year term. I would like to commend in particular Algeria and Guyana for their principled and independent conduct throughout their tenure. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the Islamic Republic Iran for the statements and also for the nice words addressed to the outgoing members of the Council. The representative of the United States has asked for the floor to make further statement. Please.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. There's a couple things that I wanted to address in the statements from the Iranian representative just now, especially firstly as it relates to 2231 and if it is still active. The resolution did not expire with the conclusion of the snapback process nor the original termination day of October 18th. Our focus, however, the United States of America focus, is on the more relevant and comprehensive restrictions that need to be reinstated in the UNSCR. So we wanted to make that clear on 2231. Also, since you decided to address the President of the United States, would like to make it clear to the entire world that the United States remains available for formal talks with Iran, but only if Tehran is prepared for direct and meaningful dialogue. Direct and meaningful. We're not going to negotiate in public, of course, not here. We have been clear, however, about certain expectations for any arrangement. Foremost, there can be no enrichment inside of Iran, and that remains our principle. I've worked for President Trump in 2 administrations now, and I can tell you, in both administrations, President Trump extended the hand of diplomacy to Iran. But instead of taking that hand of diplomacy, you continue to put your hand in the fire. Step away from the fire, sir, and take President Trump's hand of diplomacy. It's extended to you.
I thank the representative of the United States for the statement. There are no more names inscribed on the list of speakers. Sorry? Okay. The representative of France has asked for the floor to make further statement. I give them the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I will be brief. I wanted to take the floor once again, France, to reiterate 3 points. The first point has already been said, but I want to repeat it nonetheless. It is very clear that, given the vote in September in this Council, the item is still on the Security Council's agenda, and it is within the remit of the Security Council to continue to consider this question. My second point, listening to what was said by the representative of Iran, I'm struck by 2 points. Firstly, disinformation is at the heart of what we've just heard. There's no intention to coerce on behalf of the E3, to coerce Iran. Once again, we have shown in the past and recently in September our resolve to find a diplomatic, negotiated solution. It's up to Iran to show the peaceful nature of its nuclear program, as the IAEA is calling for and has called for repeatedly for some years now and has done so recently in the autumn. We are not exerting any pressure, so we're not going over and beyond that request to cooperate with the IAEA sustainably and in good faith. We also expect that Iran, during these meetings, comment on a number of facts that are in the IAEA reports and are taken up again in the Secretary General's report on the implementation of 2231. I'd like to say that France is very disappointed to have heard no substantial responses regarding the Secretary General's report. Thank you.
I thank representative of France for the statement. The representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran has asked for the floor. I give them the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I think that, as mentioned, the representative of the United States, we appreciate any fair and meaningful negotiation, but insisting on zero enrichment policy, it is contrary to our rights as a member of the NPT. And it means that they are not pursuing the fair negotiation. They want to dictate their predetermined intention on Iran. Iran will not bow down to any pressure and intimidation, and we are not going to blackmail to the body in international field. Thank you.
I thank representative of Islamic Republic of Iran for the statement. Representative of Russian Federation has asked for the floor to make further statement. I give him the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be very brief, replying to what has been just said by a representative of France. I said it in my statement when I spoke, and I would like to repeat it. You failed miserably in your so-called diplomatic efforts to strike a deal on the nuclear issue with Iran, and you know it.